All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Tuesday afternoon here, July 21st, shortly after Hold on a second. I got a quick echo right through my headset. Give me a quick sec, folks. Test 1 2 1 2. A lot better. There we go. All right, guys, give me a quick sound check. Just make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. I was just saying this lovely Tuesday afternoon, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. There we go. Hell of a lot better. Jesus. All right, great to see everybody joining us live inside our trading room, of course, streaming across social media as well. So without further ado, let's hop right into it, guys. So, I actually had a request from one of our traders this afternoon. Hey, would you rather just put up the SPY, at least for right now? No problem. Instead of the Dow Jones, we'll put up the S&P ETF, the SPY at least. And going into the afternoon, you can see it's been trying to push off support around 325 off the lows, essentially. You'd figure the Dow Jones Industrial likely doing very similar, if not much of the same. You know what? I shouldn't really say that as much. I think it was Friday afternoon. We ended up seeing a very inverse move between the Dow and the S&P, although that does not happen too often. We did see that on Friday. But, of course, for right now, SPY, S&P all together, trying to get back up towards the highs heading into the afternoon. So where does that leave us so far? Well, for right now, SRNE is on the board. It's only up 0.78%. But we were talking about this stock earlier inside our Traders Talk workshop. So just to let everybody know here across social media, Facebook, YouTube, guys, hey, last week we ended up doing something pretty special. We put our Traders Talk live workshop up, at the time live, of course, that Tuesday up on YouTube and Facebook. But, we typically do that live every week inside our live trading room, Cyber Group. But, we ended up going over this trade. SRNE ended up seeing a pull back towards the support off of 8, bounced back up, essentially held 8, moved up towards 850. And as you can see, it's trying to get back up towards 850 going into the afternoon. So for right now, I'll tell you guys, I'm long on this trade currently from 837. Let me see if I can get my entry here. I think it was right. There we go, 837. I've been hanging on here. 836 is yesterday's closing bell print. It's been holding over it pretty well so far. I got a tight stop set otherwise, so it's kind of a make or break move for me. At least at this point, I'm looking for a higher high going into the afternoon. So, for right now, it's not up a whole lot, but at least we'll focus on this trade going into the close, much like we did yesterday. All right, with that, give me a quick sec. I had to mute myself there, right? All right, so there's the StreamYard. Good. All right, so otherwise, what we'll do, guys, is go right from top to bottom. For any of the ones that we ended up, trading, doing well on, aside from this SRNE, we'll look to focus on it, review it pretty quick, see if it's worthwhile going into the close. We had a pretty hot morning. That's what we went over inside Traders Talk earlier today as well. The fact that we had so many stocks on the watch list from earlier, but not even that, just stocks otherwise that were very active that for one reason or another didn't make the cut on the morning watch list, but, ended up being a fantastic call early after the market opened. So, MTP here, you can see this one ended up making the cut. This was on our morning watch list, ended up making a huge pre-market push early on. It was up well over 100%. But by the time the market opened up, ended up taking a little bit of time, but pushed up higher over resistance off of 350, essentially 4, got halted on the way up towards the highs here. This was a very volatile stock on the way up. It seems like a very easy move given the trend, but man, this thing had some shakes to it on the 1-minute chart. I'll show that pretty quickly here. It looks like smaller bars, but up and down. You're looking at 45-cent bar here at 9:40 Eastern time, shakes back down another 44 or 45 cents. So, for what it's worth, this stock was more of a level 4 or 5 trade as far as how we categorize it live here in the trading room. But for right now, this MTP trade, for as much as it's ran up, looks like we're beginning to see the dump back down right now. So, yeah, for a stock like this that makes such a big run up, we say it every time here during the afternoon meeting, you normally don't expect to see it make a whole new push going into the close. So, yeah, nice run, but for right now, we'll pass on this trade. You got the warrants on IMRN. We're going to skip over that right away, guys. Just too low volume. It's not even worth the time. Man, this NOVN still pushing, huh? And this is pretty good timing here. So NOVN, of course, as you can see now, pushing up to break a new high. Resistance was at 125. You also have some volume on the ask at 130. I'm checking the news right now just to see if there's any headline I can give you here. NOVN was another one that ended up pushing shortly after the market opened up, took off like a rocket. Let's see, shares of healthcare companies trading higher in sympathy overall with the market. That's kind of boring. It's like a whole list of stocks, though, otherwise, right? So we've seen a whole bunch of stocks, OPK, IBIO, CODX, INO. We'll go through them in a moment. But, those are all of the healthcare / coronavirus stocks. So, NOVN, I don't really have a specific headline here for you. But for right now, at least, definitely we'll put this on our watch list here for the afternoon. All right, we got a chat here from Chuck saying OPK through 6, or on the way to 6, rather. Oh, trust me, Chuck, I see that too. I'll get to that in just a moment. I have that up on another screen here. This OCGN, nice little push. Cheapy, ran already from 25 up to 50, doubled up in size across the day. Bit of a pennant right now. It wouldn't surprise me if it pops up and then slams right back down. So we're going to skip over this here for the meantime. NBEV, I got to say, this thing's been a dud. Unless if we are able to get this off support here at 250, I just, was prepping up for Traders Talk at the time. So I wasn't really looking to trade, but it was a really good setup. Broke through the level on the way down, broke through the level on the way up, and held over it. That's the entry. So NBEV ended up having a nice little entry off support from 250. But, for right now, trading so much volume across the day, I don't think the big up move here is going to be this afternoon. If it is, we'll try and scan for it and catch it early on if it does. But, otherwise, I feel like this will be a good one to watch going into the, later in the week, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, etc. For the news that came out on New Age, and the push early in pre-market, dumped off after the open. It was up I think 98%, or rather, I at least saw 78, 79% early in the pre-market. So I treat that the same as any small cap stock, like a pharma stock coming off news, that MTP trade, the NOVM perhaps, anything that's up that much early in the pre-market, you typically see a pullback. Just for right now, I wouldn't expect this to make the huge up move into the close. I feel like that move will come later in the week, though. All right, we're going to skip ahead because I see it on my screen, Chuck. Yeah, I'm in this trade right now. So OPK, this thing's pushing up beautifully. OPCO Health, another healthcare stock that we were just talking about before, making the push strongly up towards resistance here at 6. I'm currently in this trade. I think it's right on the nose from 580. I was playing this around a little bit, and I should have just stuck to my gut because I was long on this trade at first, and then I ended up reversing my position. I was short, and then I ended up reversing my position again after. So at 156, I did that. Right over here. I was playing around with it. Once it broke through 580 here, I was hoping for this exact type of run, and it was moving up, moving down. I just thought, you know what? The hell with it, I'm probably going to get out. Or then I said actually short, I'm sorry, but then once it pushed up, I ended up reversing. So I've been in this trade since, and for right now, I might look to take profits, but looking at this push up right now, it broke through the level and then pulling back here. So look to see if it could hold a higher low, perhaps around the VWAP. If not the VWAP, then don't be surprised a little bit underneath that, maybe 587, 586, and then from there push back through. But yeah, for right now, OPK we'll definitely put on our list here. You've been pretty familiar with this trade, OPCO Health, just by the way, guys. I mean, it's not every day that we trade this stock, but back, of course, very beginning of January. No, rather, this one was a bit later on. This was with the testing kits, not a vaccine, but with testing kits. So early March started to move. Then more news came out late last week, I think it was, or maybe early last week in relation with the MLS, Major League Soccer, partnering up with a major sports organization to test their athletes. So, pretty big news. I don't think there's been anything new otherwise. Maybe there is. Either way, I mean, pushing right up through 6 here. So, definitely we're going to put this back on our list. Oh, man, what else do we have here so far on the gainer side? We'll jump to the IMRN, not the warrants, but the regular. This was up 98% as well leading into the open. Pulled back right away, continued to tank. I think the news on this was a common stock offering. That was going into this morning, not from the day before. We traded this yesterday. It was a pump and dump move throughout the day. Oh, baby, this OPK, guys, really quick. We're going to jump back here live. All right, we're not going to go too deep into this because I'm definitely going to look to take my profits coming up here because this thing's moving up almost a little too quick. This OPK trade just pushed very strongly up towards my next line that I have here at 610. All right, I think I just got out. There we go. Told you, Chuck. I was watching that thing. All right, so I just closed. We'll see if this ends up squeezing higher. I thought it was going to pull back, hold a higher low, then do that type of move, but I'll take it. All right, only thing I would just wish I had more shares at that point, right? But either way. We'll keep pushing down the list, guys, see what else we have. The IMRN I was getting to. I don't think I'm going to put this on our list now at this point, but for as much as this stock is dropping, I'm hoping to see some support some point. The order book is just a bit too thin. So, yeah, for the meantime, I'm going to pass on this trade. TEL, another stock pushing up pretty nicely here today. Nice level one, if anything. More of a tight spread, slower moving stock, bigger orders on the book. Kind of flat. All right, keep it going. No other familiar names here so far. Maybe the CANF. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. I feel like this stock's been a big tease in the past. I think I actually mentioned that a long while back at one point. Just looking at these days on the daily chart, you can see pre-market moves or gaps up, like just the red days. They're all pump and dumps. So this stock definitely has been the one that's been a big tease. Just small cap stock for right now. CANF pushing up pretty nicely, though. So, yeah, this is exactly where we would want to see it, at least near the highs going into the close. I wouldn't really hold this maybe overnight. We'll see how it closes, but I probably wouldn't look to swing into tomorrow morning. If this is going to make the type of move that it normally makes in the pre-market going into the close today, it wouldn't surprise me if this ends up making the losers list right away tomorrow morning. We'll see. All right. What else do we have here, guys? OPK is already on our list, of course. Pulling back down right now to 6. SM, it's right near the highs, holding strong. A little flat right now, a little slow. But I feel like there's less volume to cut through on the order book for this trade compared to that last one, TEL, from up top. And it's shortable, too, if it ends up crapping out the other way. So, all right, kind of sold myself. Put the SM on our list here. Jump to CODX, number 35, up still 17+%. Looks pretty choppy. Kind of building a kind of a wedge, a pennant, you could say. Higher lows, lower highs, volumes dropping off here a bit. Wouldn't surprise me if this ends up crashing under 22. Yeah, I mean, it's still near the highs. I like that, right? And it's one, at least, that we are really familiar with. You know, the more so trade this stock off 50-cent levels and whole numbers like 22 here. Not much support on the bid, though, at least. Only 2,100 shares. Not much else I see, guys, as far as like a familiar name. If there's anything that you see, let me know. Bingo, really flat for right now. Pretty active, though, from earlier. We'll hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking just as good, if not better, at least from that side. What's this? CTEST.A. Is this like a trade station symbol? Yeah, it's got to be. I don't know what the hell this is. This has been on the top of the losers list the last like 2 days, so I'm just going to skip it going forward. BKYI, holy smokes, what happened here? I didn't read up on this one. I saw it on the losers list, but I didn't really look at the chart. This thing took quite a hit, not even from today and overnight, so forth, but from the last couple of days, pulling back down pretty sharply. We traded the stock going into the end of last week, did really well on this trade for what it's worth, but we know not to hold, right? So it ended up running up nicely, pulled back pretty sharply, and then the next day totally dumped back down, and then nonstop since. So, all right, Acadia, ACAD, pretty not expensive, but definitely shortable, within range to try and short. Ended up dropping off going into the early afternoon, perhaps. Looks like it pushed under and over 44.50. Zoomed out, it looks like really flat. Just looking at the big gap down from after hours yesterday, then the drop off earlier this morning. But I like the range altogether with that. So, you know what? I don't mind putting this at least on our list. More of a level 4-ish stock, I'd say. Maybe level 3 to 4 stock. Spreads like 3-4 cents right now, but look at the order book. It's pretty light, pretty empty. Pretty small orders on the bid and the ask. All right. Let's see what else we have here, guys. The HMHC trade, I actually had this on my list going into the morning. I think this was from yesterday, was it? I think we had this on our list yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. It was a dud yesterday afternoon, but ended up dropping off further this morning. It's right off 2, so perhaps, I mean, I feel like it will hold here after how much it's dropped off over the last like 3 days here, counting today. You know, maybe it's ready for a dead cat bounce. Maybe it's ready for a small squeeze back up. You know what? It seems like a level 1 trade. Just because it's slow doesn't mean I won't put it on our list. So yeah, tight spread, more of a level 1, maybe level 2 stock if it gets a little bit more volatile. But yeah, this could be a nice bounce point here for this trade, HMHC. DVAX, familiar name at least. Oof, what happened here? Earlier this morning, dropped off shortly after the market opened up. I don't know if it's news related or not. I'm not going to check now at this point, but yeah, I feel like the volume really dropped off here after the morning. So for right now, I mean, it has the range. It is shortable, but yeah, I mean, right now we'll pass. SALM, what makes percent gainers list one day makes percent losers list the next. Oh, VBIV. We'll check in on that one at least here. VBIV has been almost like a daily play for us here in the trading room. Dropped off earlier this morning, ended up pulling back under and over 5. Made a really strong run up from there. And it's just been really flat since. This one's trading a lot more volume per minute compared to some of the others that we've just went through. Tighter spread, liquid order book, so I do like that. Just pretty flat for right now. It is holding over 550, which could be a major level. Seems like it's kind of been cutting through that level quite a bit prior to it holding over it right now. All right, yeah, I don't mind adding this one. Kind of like the same thing with the ACAD. At least this one we're a lot more familiar with. All right, I think that's just about it, guys. If there's anything else that you guys see up, down, 10% or more at this point, let me know. I used to say 5% for quite a while, but with the way the market's been moving the last like 3 months, I got to up it. So anything up, down, 10% or more, just let me know here. And yeah, I was going to, sorry about that, Chuck. I was going to get to you. Semi, I was looking at that. Yep, Semi, great call from earlier. Chuck wrote that in the chat board just a little while back. As I was going through the losers list. So yeah, Semi. I mean, and I'll show you something on this trade because I am pretty familiar with this one as well. Not just to Chuck, but to all of us here. Gap fill. So looking at this trade, ended up dropping off quite a bit, going back into mid-June. And ever since, I mean, it had a little bit of a run up going into the last couple of weeks, but today, obviously, I don't know if there's other news that came out. If there is, then it could potentially, you know, push this to make a higher high, try and fill the gap a little bit further into the afternoon here. So definitely great call, Chuck. You know what? I'm a little verklempt right now here because I just was in our office earlier and kind of like yesterday, I ended up coming back to my home office and I just set up right before we started here. So I got my Benzinga Pro alerts right now. So we'll check out just one or two more that I have. I think just one more. This one, SUPV. It's like doing nothing. Sometimes they just give you some wacky call outs. Only trading 523,000 shares. It's at the highs. That's the reason why it ended up, you know, giving me the ping, but it's not worth it. Check in on YouTube, Facebook, you guys, if you guys have anything for here. IBIO coming back to life. It is. And I'll tell you one more thing with IBIO. Probably shouldn't have gotten out right here, but I want to take the profit. I've been in this trade for too long. I just closed out IBIO. This was the last one I was in. I just closed this out at 603. I was in this trade meddling around from 580, I think I was in, or 575. And it was from from a little bit before here. I think that was it. It's 574. And then I think I ended up averaging down a little bit further or added more shares maybe a bit earlier. But I ended up just closing out. So with that, at least for right now, IBIO, yeah, it's still down 6%. Has some catching back up to do if it wants to make a stronger push up towards yesterday's, you know, kind of close or highs. Yeah, I don't mind putting this one on our list. It's one that we are pretty familiar with, at least. Kind of like the SR&E trade, kind of like the OPK trade and so forth. All right, guys. So lastly, right before I finish up, always forget to do this. I want to welcome a couple of new students of ours to CTU, to Cyber Trading University. So if you allow me the chance, I would just like to welcome Don A, and alongside him, Don M. We got a couple of Dons here joining us today. How about that? So give a round of applause to two of our new students joining Cyber Trading University today. But otherwise, for all of us streaming across social media, if you guys would like to learn more about CTU, we're continuing along our stock course this week, next week, and the week after, actually. Make sure that you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, but otherwise make sure that you guys call the phone number in the chat board. I'll post it here coming up. One of our education advisors will just pick up, provide more detail. All right, aside from that, guys, keep in mind going into the close, we ended up doing pretty well from earlier today. So, hey, if you made your day's pay, if you hit your target or more, not to say to, close the show and that's it, but, trade less shares maybe, play around. Don't trade too many shares. Don't get too cocky. Don't want to give it all back. But, hey, we have a pretty good list going into the afternoon. So, I expect this to be pretty profitable. All right, guys, so let's try and close out this afternoon just as well as we'd opened it up. Take care.